It was a struggle. It was a movement that says, now is our time, and if you don't like it, get the fuck out.
For peace, for human goodness.
The idea of black people partying is very political because we come from a history where black people gathering is a danger. So you need to move those people apart. You can't have an illegal gathering. You can't have the natives together. To have joy, to be a black person enjoying this music is a political act.
The house music of today is shaped by the Kwaito of yesterday, is shaped by the bubblegum before, and is shaped by traditional African sounds. Bubblegum came from Bakanga.
Bakanga comes from these songs that are sung by migrant laborers.
It's a song about the pain of the migration, and now it's coming through again for another generation.
Bubblegum sort of does come as a response and as a continuation of that Bakanga story, but with a much lighter touch.
Bubblegum is township dance music. It was taking all of these influences and playing them out within the space of the township and everything that brought with it.
It's a very connected lineage. Like there's no genre or sound that exists in isolation in African music. I mean, it's all black musical expression.
For me, the music that I found was not an expression of happy clapping black people. It was an expression of freedom from the pain and an expression of anger. It was political.
They would always have conversations about the importance of having some kind of a political message. But obviously during the apartheid era, you have to disguise it some way. So that's why we have We Miss You Manelo.
Manelo was a word to sound like Mandela. Where does a person encounter this music? Because apartheid means separation. It's complete segregation, culturally especially. And it would be downtown in Kadashabins, eating joints, creating an alternative history through music that was to become the truth.
Kwaito was born from house music because they would take a popular house track, slow it down, and then put their own lyrics on it. It was young producers getting in studio and just rebelling against what was going on.
I started selling hot dogs here because the club was happening. It was on a Thursday night, I remember, and I put my hot dog stand here. You know, the street kids, I had friends with street kids, so they would keep the stand. Then I would go up to the club because I didn't have a place to sleep. I started asking the DJs if I could do the closing sets. You know, the club had their own vinyls. One day, the resident DJ didn't pitch up. And I remember the club owner coming here looking for me and say, hey, you know what? A resident DJ is not here tonight. Can you come in and just so that when he gets here, whatever, because he's saying he's sick. Then I say, wow, cool. I had my street boys. I told them, guys, you know, here is the stock, whatever, let me go in, because that was the biggest opportunity which I had. Little did I know that was going to change my life, because from that night, the owner employed me permanently as a resident DJ. And from there, my life started to change. It's about time to listen to Boom Shaka. Became huge. It was a new culture, it was a new sound. It was a combination of, soul music, the ragga music, a bit of hip hop influence.
The labels, if I remember very well, the major labels, they didn't want to touch Kwaito. Like, what is this? We don't get it. But in the streets, it was the soundtrack.
We sat down and say, wow, you know what? Let's just go and print cassettes ourselves. We printed 500 cassettes. We started going around the varsities, spreading the music, selling our cassettes. We'll go to the taxi ranks, and then we'll put up a sound system. Little did we know that what we're doing that, it started spreading underground. And now there was a huge demand all over the country. And boom, phone call from the major record label.
And that's when things started happening. Like, okay, fine. I came to you 3 years ago with this demo, and then you said, no, we don't want it. Now you want it, pay me.
Then all we needed was ownership, because without ownership, you are nothing. Knowing about the music business, the facts that majors denied us. That's why in life, when they say, when another door closes, another door opens.
Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. I thank you.
It had always been the soundtrack to the revolution. I remember when those 94 election results were announced, I went into Hillbrow and there was a throng of people and people were spinning donuts in their cars in the middle of this crowd. It was just bizarre. And inside of that were these Kwaito sounds that were being pumped from the car.
The lyrics were about the struggle, township vibes, like we are young people and we are here.
The voice of the youth in that moment was very controversial. Now, it took young people to say, let's live our freedom.
After the apartheid regime died, people were celebrating and all that. As a black person, when they see you driving a nice car, they will stop it because, guys used to steal cars those times. So this record is talking about the traffic cop. They would take that beep, 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 and say, registration, what. So this record is talking about that traffic cop, you can check, this is not a stolen car. Traffic cop.
Kwaito took the best of America, the best of local. It made it into a hybrid and it sold it back to the Americans.
I think that's when we started seeing it on TV,
Yes.
and hearing it on radio.
It grew to an extent that, you couldn't stop it. You couldn't do anything about it. It was like just wildfire.
Me, Christos, and Don, we formed a group called Brothers of Peace, BOP. One day, I get into my computer, I see an email from Louis Vega saying that, wow, we want to sign BOP. I say, what? Masters at Work took our record and they remixed the Zabalaza project, and from there, boom, there were lots of vinyls. It was all over worldwide, and that's how the South African music started penetrating into the market.
And Oskido starts then realizing that the most famous DJ in the world really at that point is inviting him to Miami. Oskido's like, come guys, and they all pile into a hotel room, 5 or 6 of them. They're going to Miami, now they're conquering Ibiza. And I think there's something incredibly important about what happened when the rest of the world saw band and said, oh my goodness, you guys are ahead of the curve.
The knowledge which we brought from Miami Winter Conference, we started now to pass it to the youngsters. A lot of kids started coming out, started doing music. And this is when the tip house scene started stepping in.
It was just a sort of a carryover from, the down-tempo of Kwaito and the up-tempo of house.
Never imagined myself producing music like this, because it was always international stuff. We thought, you need to be from Europe or America to be able to do this. When we were little kids, we were even being told that the electricity in Africa and electricity in America is different. That's why their sound is so nicer and all that stuff, Not too long after that, the very first House Africa compilation dropped. And it was 100% South African, and it was quality. It was just now inspiration. I was like, so they did it with the same electricity that we use here. With the new generation growing up that didn't really grow up into that political turmoil, they really couldn't really relate with the stuff that was happening then, So this was something that was kind of neutral. I mean, we just wanted to dance. We didn't care what was being said on that song,
Today in South Africa, who would have thought that young kids would be playing, and people are enjoying it. The fact that it's been evolving and we're moving with the times.
You start seeing kids in their bedrooms meeting the music and sending back their own sounds. And this is the splintering that we're speaking about in the future of house music. And that is the democratization of the music because of the technology.
Bacardi House isn't as layered or as complex as you'd find in most deep house songs. They very much emphasized, again, moving away from the drums and using the keys, using pianos and using other instruments. Then sort of laying the foundation work for Amapiano and the sound that you hear now.
With the emergence of Amapiano and the Bacardi, it's just that natural evolution of music that music goes through, especially house music.
Having people from the township tell stories through their music for people from the township is extremely important. People can relate to it because you're singing about everyday problems. Seeing that there's this really big hype around Amapiano, it's a growing genre and it's gonna get bigger.
Today, Amapiano, we can see it on Channel O, but before it was this kind of a genre. No, we can't play this genre. It's taxi music or it's too ghetto. Because the music in most times it used to be played at taverns, like local taverns, and you get the groove of people dancing, make a circle, the pansulas doing their moves there. Like now we can see that, hey, look now they can play pencil song on Channel O, MTV.
the future of house music is going to very much lay on whatever happens in the lives of Black South Africans in the township.
House music is forever. You look at how house music has just evolved over these years and how we now have these subgenres where you can have your vocal soulful house, you can have your deep tech, you can have your amapiano, you can have gom. So I think dance music is to stay.